Okay, guys, so welcome to one more episode of Latino Vegano, Latin Vegan. And for today, I have a special guest, Brooke Sellers. She is a vegan transformation coach that specializes in gut and hormone. One of her missions is to help vegan women conquer their health goals with a scientific based approach. She's a vegan competitor as well. And we also know her from Miss Meatless Muscle, right?
Yes.
Welcome, Brooke. How are you?
Good. Thanks for having me on.
You're welcome. Yeah, it's been a long. I've been wanting to invite you to the show for quite a while. I know you have a busy schedule, and so I think this is a great opportunity for us to talk. Before we even go into your story, because we always like to ask that sort of like how do you go vegan and all that kind of stuff. You're not competing this year, right? You're not doing a competition this year.
No, I have
No.
taken 2023 off. Yeah.
Okay, so you're in your off season, right? We call it.
Yes,
Okay.
exactly.
Okay, great. We'll talk a little bit more about that since I have a background also. I'm actually prepping for a show, so it'll be nice to have a conversation about that. So let's segue
Cool.
directly into some of your journey, right? Tell us about your journey, how you became vegan, how that influenced your fitness journey at the same time too, as well. Can you share with us a little bit about that?
Yeah. So initially I started my fitness journey first.
Okay.
So I was really sick. I was in college at the time
Yeah.
and I was just really struggling with my weight. I had terrible asthma. I was on three medications and eating
Hmm.
fast food like three times a day. It was terrible.
Hmm.
Like my typical diet was breakfast at Dunkin' Donuts, Chick-fil-A for lunch, and for dinner I'd probably have like Zaxby's or Taco Bell. It was bad. Um,
Okay. Okay.
yeah, so and I kind of grew up in the South where, we don't really eat healthy anyways.
Right.
We ate out almost every single weekend and pretty much nothing was off limits. So I really struggled with my weight my whole life and really
Hmm.
my health. And it was when I got to college that I just started really feeling terrible and I was on these medications. I was really struggling with just walking around my campus. I'd be so out of breath. I would get to my classes and I would literally have to like catch my breath outside my
Hmm.
class.
Hmm.
And it was embarrassing. So I really got tired of the way I looked, the way I felt, and I really just wanted to make a change. So I decided that I would sign up at Planet Fitness, and that's what I did. And by no means was I perfect at all. I didn't know anything really. I just went and I started doing something and I would do the machines. I would, work out on the treadmill or whatever. Just kind of put these workouts together as I learned more and more as I went along.
Hmm.
And then it was about a year into my fitness journey. So, I hadn't really built a significant amount of muscle at this time. That's a big misconception is I feel like, when I tell people I got into fitness first, people think I built all of this vegan and I haven't. Or I built this before I was vegan, right? And it's quite the opposite. So, a year into it, I just came across this documentary on what the health
Hmm.
uh, on Netflix. We've all seen it, all of us vegans. And at the
Hmm.
time, it just sounded like something that would be interesting to me since I was so interested in health and
Right.
fitness. I had no idea it was going to be about veganism. But I watched it and I felt like it was, pretty hard to deny and started doing my own research, read some books, and then I just felt like it was the best decision for me. So I pretty much went vegan cold turkey overnight. I know a lot of people like will cut out eggs or they'll cut out cheese and then they slowly kind of work their way to vegan, but I just up and did it. I just was so determined to
Hmm.
change my lifestyle and I just really believed in not harming animals that it was really important to me just to fully commit to it. So that's what I did. And, so I would say the health and fitness came first. And because I was so health conscious, it kind of inspired me going vegan.
Right. And then that's an interesting story because I think a lot of us vegans we have very similar stories in some way somehow. it's always something that triggers that emotion or that feeling.
Right.
I personally went vegan first. Actually, it's been what 20 years ago, so I'm like an OG on this. And then after that, after I went vegan, then I figured out the fitness aspect of it, right? So like, oh, this is a byproduct. My motivation was animal welfare basically. So once I saw that, I saw a video basically, and that kind of stroked something on me, like, wow, I don't want to be part of this. And then I decided to go vegan. Then through that, um I decided to be into fitness as well. But it's interesting that you mentioned that, because how do you think that this transformation changed your life? Like, how do you, from that point on, okay, I went vegan, how did that change your life from that point on?
Gosh, it was huge, in
Yeah.
so many ways, so many ways. I mean, and then also like you, I would say what was happening to the animals made such a big impact on me,
Right.
because I am an animal lover and I always considered myself an animal lover. Like we rescued animals and we bought shelter dogs instead of like buying from a breeder. So it was important
Right.
to us to save animals, but yeah, I was eating animals. So
Mhm.
um I think that is what really, made it easy for me to make the transition just overnight. And
Exactly.
it just made me so much more aware of like the suffering in the world, and even like leather and the fur trade
Mhm.
and cruelty cosmetics and lab testing. It just made me so much more conscious about making sure that I reduced my impact into any other being suffering, which is really important. And I just kind of feel like it
Right.
helps you overall, like with your mental health and your consciousness, just knowing that you're not contributing to any suffering like that.
Right.
And not only that, but it also helps my health tremendously. I was able to come off all my asthma medications. I rarely even struggle with it anymore. And I just was so much healthier. My skin was better. I lost weight. I really was able to just really improve my fitness journey. I built a ton of muscle. Um, and it just overall changed my life. And I was so passionate about it that I ended up, creating my own business, which is Meatless Muscle. Really started off as what I thought was going to be a side gig while I was working at a bank.
Mhm.
And it ended up just taking off. And,
Right.
now it's my full time job. And it's changed my life. I have freedom because of, running my own business. Um, so I get to basically live my dream, and that's helping other people go plant based and helping them, achieve their goals on a plant based diet when literally everyone else is telling them it's not possible. Um, so it's changed my life in so many ways. It's made me, I feel like, more conscious. It's made me a better person. It's made me a healthier person,
Mhm.
and it's given me a whole new purpose that I didn't really have before.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I completely I agree with you on that one. Yeah, it's interesting how this lifestyle can change you completely from different perspective, right? Not only physically but also mentally, just because the simple fact that you completely it's not you completely leave the selfishness, you right? You kind of focus on in another aspect of, and it's not just about you, and you focus on others, right? And then you learn that from going vegan. I personally feel like either a more emotional attachment to the movement. You're more prone to stay in it than just
Oh
like a
yes.
fat. You know what I'm talking about, right? So I feel that way. Like if there's an attachment to either a animal movement or the earth, the environment, or any of those different things, you most likely stay vegan for pretty much ever, because I mean this is not like those things changing tomorrow. We hope it would, but the cruelty to animal is not something that changing. It's improving, but it's not changing to a rapid speed that will say, okay, well, I'm done being vegan because this stuff is already, we don't have to advocate for it anymore. So
Right.
so that I feel like that will make you stay stronger. So not necessarily saying that the health aspect of being plant-based or being vegan is not important, don't get me wrong. It's just my personal opinion. I don't know if you have anything to add to that.
Yeah, and I think it's really that way with any goal. If you
Right.
have some sort of emotional attachment to it, And that's what I always tell my clients, like when people ask me, how do you stay motivated, or how do you stay so disciplined? It's like
Mm-hmm.
you really have to dig deep and find your why.
Right.
And it's going to be different for everybody. And,
Mm-hmm.
whatever it is, whether it's for your health, like, maybe you lost your parents to heart disease and that's why you want to go vegan, and that's
Right.
emotional, or maybe you had some health scare. Like I know a lot of my clients, they've had cancer and they were able to go into remission because they went whole food plant based. Um, so it's like it could be anything, or it could just be like you said, like you see a really moving video and you just can't imagine like your pet going through that situation
Mm-hmm.
and putting yourself in their shoes. It's You always have to dig deep and find your why, and once you make that emotional connection, it's like you said, there's really no going back. And that's kind of how it was for me in both being healthy, being fit, and being vegan. It was just so much more than the surface level of like, I want to look good, and I want the aesthetics. It was so much deeper than that. It was just like, I really want to make a difference. I know this is not what I believe in. I love animals. I don't want to hurt any other beings. And, making that emotional connection, I think, is so important for people. And you just have to dig deep and figure out what it is.
Yeah. 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 So, Brooke, let's talk about. You mentioned this. This is a lot of misconception, a lot of difficult, and people think that it's difficult to build muscle as a vegan. How you personally overcome this challenge, and what advice do you have for others looking to kind of do the same and build muscle and be strong, as just like you or any other vegan bodybuilder or athlete per se? And doesn't have to be a bodybuilder.
Yeah, it's just,
Mhm.
protein is protein, whether it's from an animal or it's
Right.
from a plant. It's the same. And, people will argue occasionally that plant protein is incomplete, but
Right.
there are plenty of complete proteins within the plant-based realm. And, you can have edamame and quinoa, chia seeds in your diet. I make sure I include those in all of my meal plans. And also just having a good protein powder that has a good essential amino acid profile, and you're set. You have all the amino acids that you need to build muscle, and then you combine that with proper resistance training. Make sure that you're incorporating progressive overloads, so you're increasing your reps and your weights over time and continuing to challenge your body. And there's just no way that you can't build muscle. You put the food in, you put the protein in, the essential amino acids, get enough calories, you train and stimulate the muscle, and there's no way you can't grow. So it's totally possible. It's just the way protein industry has really brainwashed people, and the keto world, and all of these big money makers.
Yeah.
But it's absolutely possible. There's no reason why you can't achieve your goals on a vegan diet.
Yeah, I think it's a lot of propaganda when it comes to that, and of course, we can go deeper into that aspect of it. But I agree, like protein is protein. You shouldn't have a problem if you're doing the proper dieting, you do the proper exercises, the combination of that rest and all that different things, the tangibles. You should not be able to accomplish your goal. Plus, we always talk about saying that the why would you want to filter your protein, right? Animals eat the same stuff, quote unquote, the vegans eat. So, just go straight to the source. But and I think a lot is also a lot of people just doesn't have the enough information. Now, I'm not justifying that because now it's so easy to find the information, right? Because it's like the internet has a lot of information out there, maybe too much, and sometimes people get caught up in, well, who's right or who's wrong. But at least you think you can use that as a tool to get you started on your research, right? And
Yes.
then you can continue that research, and then you continue feeding yourself with good knowledge, and then you'll find out that yes, it is possible. And then you have tons of other use cases from actual vegans doing it. And then you have all our plot, because like in my case, I went vegan first before I turned a bodybuilder. So for me, it's like anything that I build it eating tofu, pretty much, right, or whatever source of protein I and then and so forth. And then you have all the cases the same way. I just these people that have never eaten meat in their life, like you got a couple of the vegans that have that same
Yeah.
curriculum. So So you have all different type of athletes in different aspects of life that you can definitely use as a either motivation or inspiration. In that case, uh, you, Brooke, you have photos and videos that are not only visually appealing but also very inspiring. How do you come up with such a creative content ideas to engage your followers?
I always try to think about, what would help other
Yeah.
people. And I'm really big on value.
Mm-hmm.
Like you'll notice I don't really do a bunch of like bikini pictures. They're there, but there's not a lot of them. And if there are, they're very physique oriented, and nothing, there's nothing wrong with that. Like I get
Mm-hmm.
it, but at the same time, I really, really, really try to put myself in, like a new vegan shoes. And what do they need help with? They, I mean, they could look at a great butt on Instagram all day, but I would rather help someone, figure out how to meet their macros, how to, get a really good training split, or maybe the mistakes they're making in their diet, like the
Mm.
top mistakes that you're making with your vegan diet, or the best sources of protein, or here's like an example of my breakfast. So really when it comes to my content, I always try to keep that in mind and just think about, what is somebody actually going to benefit from? What is going to set me apart from the thousands of other people on Instagram?
Right.
And I think that's why I have been successful, is because I stay trying to contribute value to
Mm-hmm.
people's feed. And I feel like any good content creator should do that, because ultimately that's what's going to help people stay. They
Right.
want to always be learning, and when you're always putting out content that's helping people, they stay. So I have people who have followed me for years, and I feel like it's because my content has always been super consistent with
Right.
providing information, whether it's on exercise or nutrition. And also, just some inspirational and motivational content is good too, because that's a big part of this. A lot of people, although we have the really big emotional connection, some people need the reminders, like,
Right.
hey, this is the reasons why we're vegan. Remember what Big Farm is doing and what the factory farms are doing. Like, keep that in mind. And so some people need those reminders, or they just need, a reminder of why they need to be healthy and why they need to move their body. So yeah, I really try to engage with people based on value, like what I can provide for them, and use my knowledge and what I've learned over the years to help other people and make their transition that much easier.
Okay. And from a coach perspective, how do you help your clients to make sure that they eating the right amount of food, the proper nutrients, vitamins, minerals, all the different things in within their diet? Like, what are some of the things that you do? How do you approach that?
Yeah, so it is different for every single person,
Okay.
and I'm really big on customizing meal plans and diets, because truly everyone is different. And that is something that I've learned over the years.
Mm-hmm.
Um, through my own issues with like gut issues and hormone issues, I realized, everybody really does need a specific diet. A woman who is, having symptoms of PCOS and she's really struggling with getting the weight off, she's gonna need a different diet than say someone with a hyperactive thyroid who has really a really hard time putting on muscle.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just like everyone's different, they have different goals, but more than anything, I just try to look at the person's body composition, where they're at now when they're coming to me, where they want to be, what other variables are involved, like how active they are, um, what's their age, what's their height, what's their weight, um, what chronic conditions they have, and then try to come up with a plan based off that. And I'm really big on not being restrictive, so I don't do low calorie diets at all. Like I've probably never put a client under 1,300 calories ever. Um, yeah, I just don't believe in
I see.
that. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, but you see it all the time. Like women are
I
on
know.
1,200 calorie diets and they're like 5'7", and a working mom, and it's, I mean, oh my gosh, I just can't imagine. So I'm a big proponent of getting enough food in. I love carbs. I don't do low carb either. I believe that for especially women, our hormone systems, we need carbs, and we need carbs to build muscle and our body to function properly and have energy. So that's kind of my approach with my nutrition. I want people to get results, but I would never sacrifice someone's health to get them results. So, if you really want to be shredded and you want to be 8% body fat and you want to get on stage, I may not be the coach for you because I'm not going to sacrifice your health
Mhm.
um, to get you to an extreme goal.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. It takes a different type of mindset first, in my opinion. From a competition standpoint, I think I always tell people like that whole sport is more a mental sport than actually a physical sport because of all the different tangibles that you have to deal with and go through. And we can talk about that too openly. I mean, that totally fine. From a perspective of me competing, I know I understand every single pain or comment or even experience that you had gone through because I competed several times. I actually my first competition was in 2014, first time doing that, no experience whatsoever. And then they won in 2016, and then doing another one in 2019. I went pro in 2019 and then had to do a pro show mandatory at the next following year after winning your pro card. So I did one in 2020, and then I took a long break, and then now I'm competing in October of this year. So with that
Awesome.
said, yeah, exactly. So my goal was to do a show maybe every other year, maybe every 2 years, depending of just because of the taxing of your body.
Right.
I know people that do 3 or 4 or 5 shows during that one season, and that's like 1 year. Seems to me a lot, but everybody who's on. I mean, everybody knows their body better. But yeah, talk to them also a little bit about what was your experience, and if somebody is interested in competing, what would you tell them?
I would say, yeah, like you said, be aware of, the risk because that is important, especially for women. It's a little bit higher than men. Men, your bodies, you're just from an evolutionary standpoint, men are designed to be out hunting for a long time and to be able to go without long periods of food. But women really aren't, and our endocrine system is just much more complicated. So, it is really important to hire a good coach. I would say that's like number one. Hire somebody not because of how much they cost, because they're cheap, but you really trust this person
Right.
and they can tell you exactly why you're doing what you're doing. They can tell you the physiology behind it. And they really have good results and a good track record. So I would say hire a good coach. That's super important. Make sure you're financially um, in a position to compete because it's really
Yeah.
expensive,
Yes.
very expensive with the supplements, the food. Especially for women, you've got the bikini, which is
Mm-hmm.
upwards to $1,000. Mine was $1,200.
Mm.
The shoes are 150. Your tan, your hair, your makeup. You're easily spending 4 to 5,000, and that's generous per show. Plus your registration fee, probably
Mm-hmm.
400 if you're competing in the NPC.
That's right.
So it's expensive. So make sure you're financially in a place to do it. And then I would also say make sure that you have a good support system. That's important too.
Mm-hmm.
If you have people in your life who are causing you stress, like a stressful relationship, I once had somebody on a consultation with me. They told me, they were like, yeah, I really want to do this, but my boyfriend, he's really against this. And I'm like, well, I'm going to have to respectfully decline because you really do need a good support system because it gets
Yes.
tough. Like mentally, like you said, it's a mental sport. And there's going to be times where you may not want to keep going.
Mm-hmm.
And if you have somebody there
Uh-huh.
talking you out of it, you're probably going to get talked out of it.
Right.
And, there's going to be times where you need help. You're going to be so tired. You don't really feel like doing laundry or you don't feel like doing dishes or,
Mm-hmm.
you may not feel like doing certain things that you have to do. And it's good to have somebody there who can help you and pick up, when you're super tired and you're super depleted. Um, and then lastly, I would just say, make sure that you have the commitment to the lifestyle because bodybuilding, I mean, it's like when you're in prep, I'm sure it's like full-time job. I mean, I spent probably 40 hours a week working on my prep. between
Yeah.
your actual training,
Right.
your cardio, your
Right.
posing, which you need to be doing every day,
Mm,
and your meal prep.
that's
It's a
right.
lot, and you have to get 8 hours of sleep. It's important. So, you have to be willing to commit the time. A lot of people, they don't really have the time to even just go to the gym and do that's what people say all the time, right? Well, I don't have time. Well, if you don't have time to go work out for an hour, you don't have the time to do a competition prep. I promise you. So yeah, make sure you have the time, make sure you're ready
Yeah,
to commit to the lifestyle, make sure that you have a good support system, make sure that you hire a good coach, and make sure that you're financially ready.
that's right on. Yeah, I feel like, yeah, you touching all the important key components of competing. Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree. So yeah, it's you really have to be on that mindset. And the coaching part is important because you really want to be guided by someone that has the background, they have the experience, they have the curriculum that they can really guide you to the right direction, because you don't want to not hurt yourself, but being unprepared. Because think about it, you go on stage with a little bit of clothes, and then somebody's judging your body like, this is the way you look, and then
Exactly.
most of the time they're not gonna say nothing nice about you. So you have to be very mentally prepared for that, because the feedback is tough sometimes. Be like, you need to work
Oh
on
yeah.
this, because they're gonna be tough on you, especially if it's the first time you're doing it. Even if it's the second time or third time, they're still gonna find something to criticize you, because nobody can quote unquote have a perfect body in that contest. No, and then you feel like you worked so hard and you didn't place, or you didn't expect it to win or whatnot. So all these different things. So, but same way, if this is something that you want to do, I will advise the same. Find the right help. You have to be in the right mindset, right group of people that can support you, because you're gonna be at some point you're gonna be tired, and you still have a life to live. And then this physical aspect, which I will also touch into to kind of end on this topic, is that it's not like, oh, you're not gonna be going out to restaurants and eat out every single day now, regardless if it's a vegan restaurants or
Exactly.
not. So you kind of have to minimize those, even probably not even do it for the time that you're prepping, like in some cases,
Yeah.
right? Because you don't want nothing like a minimum of like, oh, I'm just gonna go eat a couple of burgers every now and then, vegan burger scores, to kind of derail your whole progress. So it's all these different things, right? Especially if you're counting macro and all these different things. So for me, I think having that social aspect, because a lot of people want to invite you over. Oh, let's go have this. We're gonna go out and do different things, and you might have to kind of minimize those for that period of time while you're prepping for any show or any type of competition. The one aspect about competing that I do like, and I don't think it's touched on a lot. I don't know if you were able to notice, is when they talk about transformation, which is that one event where it's not even about the bikini girl or the physique guy. It's just person having a picture of the before and after, and then they go on stage. Your show
Yeah.
had that. I think that's a really good um aspect of competing, and that, because I think it's more of like showcasing how, the health, wealth of the whole competition aspect. They don't talk about that a lot. And because when they talk
Right.
bodybuilding, they only speak about, they only imagine, the girl in the bikini, or the guy with the shorts and whatnot, but they don't really speak about how they have this event where they showcase people transformation. You could have been somebody that was like 250 pounds, for example, and then you lost, like, I don't know, 100 pounds, and then you have a before and after picture. Then you go on stage and you showcase everybody clapping. It's an emotional aspect of the show, just because it's give you a different angle, right? It's not just a different aesthetic, basically.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's really cool. The
Uh-huh.
transformation division is relatively new. So,
Uh-huh.
I think it'll continue growing.
Yeah.
Like you're not seeing the transformation at regional shows, it's more like
Right.
local shows, but I'm hoping that it would grow because it gives other people an opportunity to, get up there that
Hmm.
otherwise wouldn't really be able to. So it's a really cool division for sure. And there's like a story with it rather than just yeah, your glutes are much better than that, girls.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's a story. Yeah, because they actually share the actual story, right? Why this person
Yes.
decided to go on this journey, and so on and so forth. So exactly. So it's a different aspect of it. So, Brooke, how do you balance, since we're talking about the physical and mental well-being, in your approach for health and business? Like, how do you be able to balance those two or three?
Yeah, it's definitely tough, especially being a business owner and an
Hmm.
entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Um, I've at some point, when I first started my business, I worked 7 days a week, and I
Hmm.
did have to kind of, take a step back and realize I really need a day off, and it's honestly going to help me be more productive. If I do take a day off, and I'm definitely that kind of type A person where I almost don't like to rest, and I think that's why I love competing and I do all of these kind of extreme sports and hobbies. But yeah, it's like you kind of have to have balance and to be able to keep going and have longevity. You have to be able to rest. So I kind of had to teach myself that you don't have to feel guilty about taking a day off. Nothing's going to happen. It's not the end of the world. It's not like I'm going to lose business or anything like that. Kind of like you take a rest day from the gym. It's not like you're going to
Right.
lose your gains. You're going to make gains. So, like I know there's a lot of people who have to talk themselves into taking a rest day. I'm one of those people.
Yeah.
Um, but it's like in the end, you have to just see all of the benefits that you're getting out of it. So whether it's like taking off time from the gym, letting your
Hmm.
body rest and recover so that you can get back in and do even better than you were before, or it's business. You give yourself a mental break so that you can get back and not feel burnout. You can be more
Hmm.
creative.
Yeah.
You can foster better relationships, show up with a more positive attitude. I just think like developing that kind of healthy relationship where, hey, it's okay to rest. I don't need to feel guilty. It's important, and it's just as important as working and going to the gym and working out and just being comfortable with taking rest. I think that has been the most important aspect of having that balance for me.
You know what? I totally agree. I think we come from this grind mentality, and then by all means, I'm not the one person that's gonna tell someone not to work hard for whatever is their goal, because we work hard in the gym, but at the same time, you want to work hard and smart, or smart and not hard, however you want to phrase that out. But for me also, I feel like I always think about this, like if you see people use golf, for example, as a sport, because they conduct business in a sport because it's so calm, even though you have to think a lot, it may not necessarily be a sport that you require quote unquote physical strength, although you do it to some extent, but you're not physically pushing something, doing something like that in that context. But people casually use golf, for example, just to kind of clear their mind. They're in the open field, and then it supposedly it allows them to think clearly and have good ideas, and then have topics of conversation. So for me, maybe the gym is that area. Even though I might be busy, business, work, whatnot, and then go to the gym is like my break, for example. Even though we're pushing stuff, but you're getting away from that, and then sometimes your creative comes. But even from the gym, you take days off, and then those days off, even you create more things. You can create it. I totally agree with you. I think it helps a lot with your stability, with your emotions, with your calmness. Allows you to not just be put too much pressure into whatever it is that you're doing. I think sometimes you take a break, breathe, and then relax, and then you see how things start flowing differently. But it's hard for us sometimes to kind of get into that point. Do you have any advice for folks? How can they relax better? What can they do?
I would say, really tap into like what helps you unwind and relax.
Mm.
And I think for some people that's going to be different things.
Right.
Whether it's like a massage or like the sauna. I love the sauna. The sauna is like therapeutic to me. I know some people hate it, they can't stand
Mm-hmm.
it. I love it. It really helps me relax. So I'll do that a few times a week for 20 minutes. Meditating is obviously, research backs up
Right.
meditating. That's huge. Whether it's going outside for a walk, there's also research for walks and how much that helps mental health.
Mm-hmm.
Being in nature, getting some sunshine, I think is really important too. And just, making time for those little things that make you feel good. Is really important, and just making sure it's just as important to put those things on your calendar as it is a business meeting, in my
Right.
opinion.
Yeah, absolutely. All those different things I think can definitely help. Um, I personally I like to meditate. Like to meditate every morning. Wake up, I have like a routine. I like to go on a bike ride, open wood, just because it clears my mind, lets me make me connect with nature. I live in Texas, in Houston, so it's kind of hot out here.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So it's pretty hot out here. So we rather do it, kind of like when the sun is going down, basically, or early in the morning when it's a little bit nicer when it comes with the weather. Because you go try to do it at 3 o'clock, man. Woof, I
Oh
feel sorry
gosh,
for
yeah.
you.
That's terrible.
Yeah, it is. It is. Where you based, by the way?
Atlanta.
Atlanta. Okay, awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's hot here. Like it's still like you wouldn't
it
want to go
does.
walk at 3 for sure. And it gets humid. It's so humid here and just
Yeah,
gross. Yeah. So like during the summer, see, I like to go walk when it's like 7:38, even
yeah,
maybe 8:30. It's just
yeah.
much more pleasant unless you go
Yes,
super early in the morning. Yeah.
right. Absolutely. Yeah. What's your take on training in the mornings or training in the afternoon, and also training with an empty stomach? What's your take on those topics?
I would say, always training with some sort of food in your stomach is always going to be far better than training fasted, just
Hmm.
because your body has something to work off of. If you don't have anything in your stomach, your body's just going to use whatever glucose is available. And unfortunately, that's going to be muscle. Muscle's the easiest form of glucose for the body. I know everybody thinks, well, body fat should be the easiest. We don't really need it, but that's not always the case. So it's very common to overdo it. We see this a lot in our sport.
Hmm.
People doing a ton of fasted cardio and they're losing muscle. It's not what you want. So I think it's important, even if it's just a banana, like even if it's just a protein shake, like have
Hmm.
something before you go train, just so that your body has something to pull from. Now I know like there's people who train at 4:30 in the morning. That's a different
Right.
story. So you gotta make it work for your lifestyle. But I feel like if you can get something in, better to get something in than not at all.
Yeah, definitely. So let me ask you, Brooke, what's something that people seem to misunderstand about you?
I'm not sure. Maybe I would say that I
Hmm.
probably just eat lettuce and they probably think I just eat lettuce and spinach all the time. Like I know, especially in the bodybuilding community, people are like, "What do you eat?" They
Right.
think we don't eat anything but vegetables.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so it's kind of funny when people start following me and they see my food that I post, and I have like my protein oats that look just incredible, and like
Yeah.
my cheat meals, especially my cheat meals, are out of this world, and they look like they're not even vegan, like the pizzas and all the kind of stuff, like ice cream.
Yeah.
It's pretty incredible. I mean, that, our vegan community knows that, but I think
Right.
it's still like the other like I guess normal standard American diet people, they're still like learning that eating vegan is really
Yeah.
easy and you don't have to sacrifice anything at all. And that's actually how I got
Hmm.
my mom to go vegan. We went
Awesome.
to Vegas this past December for the Olympia, and see, she was with me the entire time, so all we did was eat vegan, and she
Right.
realized like, hey, this is actually pretty good, and I think I'm gonna do this, and she's been vegan ever since December.
That's awesome. Great job, mom.
Yeah,
That's
I know,
great.
she's
That's great.
awesome.
Yeah, I can tell definitely. So, what makes you feel inspired or like your best self?
Honestly, I would say like the messages I get from my
Mm,
followers and my clients. I mean, it's just because it's easy sometimes, especially with being kind of on social media. Like my
yeah.
presence is primarily on social media. Outside of the vegan world, nobody knows who I am. So it's just kind of crazy the messages that I'll get from people, like how much I've inspired them or how much I've changed their life, and um, you know, just all of the changes they've been able to make to their diet, to their mindset. things they didn't think were capable. They were capable of before, and they're doing it now. They're working out, they're building muscle. Same thing with my clients, like just the way that my clients have completely transformed their lives, just from what I think is just, healthy eating and training. It's just, it really does inspire me, and it just kind of is like reassuring that I'm aligned with my purpose and I'm doing what I need to be doing. And there's really nothing that inspires me and keeps me going like those messages that I get from my followers and my clients.
Brooke, one thing, if we will go back to Brooke when she was 18 years old, what would you tell yourself differently?
I would tell her to not be so hard on herself, and she's going to accomplish everything that she wants to and more. And the sky's the limit. Keep believing in yourself, and just enjoy the journey. Don't wait to be happy to get to your goal. I feel like for a long time I was waiting to be happy once I got fit, or I had my business, or I did my competition. And I still feel like that. I'm like, I'll be happy when I get my pro card. I'll be happy when I, do all of these things. And it's like, just enjoy the journey, because you're going to be going through it anyways. And so I would say, yeah, I would, if I could tell her, my 18-year-old self, anything, I would say, enjoy the journey. You're going to get there, but don't waste time being unhappy and making time go by faster, anticipating getting there, because there's always going to be another mountain to climb. So while you're climbing this one, just enjoy it, learn all you can, and just enjoy the ride.
Great. So if somebody wants to work with you, or wants to hire you, or wants to be helped by you, Brooke, how can they reach out to you? And also, what advice will you give them to whoever wants to work with you? And do you only work with women's? Do you work with men's as well, or just women's?
Yeah, I just recently opened up my program for men. So if there are any men who are interested in working with me, absolutely. You can reach me at my Instagram at Miss_Meatless_Muscle. You can shoot me a DM. I'm totally open to DMs. So if you have a question, just message me there. Also, my website is meatlessmuscle.net. So if you guys want to check out my packages or book a consultation with me, you can do so there.
All your links, I'm going to put it in the description of the video, and I'll share all those different links with my audience as well. So this is it, Brooks. Anything else that you would like to share with the audience, or anything else you would like to tell us?
I don't think so. I think we covered a lot of good stuff today and shared some good value. And I just really appreciate you having me on to share my story.
Absolutely. Anytime. Thank you so much, guys. I'll see you guys next time. And thank you, Brooke.
Thank you so much.
Gracias por escuchar Latino y Vegano, un show donde se habla todo lo relacionado sobre el veganismo entre la comunidad latina. No olviden suscribirse a este podcast, seguirnos en Instagram, Facebook, YouTube y a visitarnos en latinoyvegano.com.